What's up, y'all? Back with another video, this time on the Holy Paladin, doing some 2v2 with Sorgol on his Enhancement Shaman. First off, here is the caster build that I'm running in this 2v2 session. I'll try to remember to pin the build code in a comment. I decided to pause the 2400 push and solo shuffle for a week or so because honestly I wasn't having fun queuing into the mountain of Ret Paladins. I did queue a few rounds and got like 30 rating, but it was very frustrating, so I'm hoping they will do some balance changes soon. So in this video, I'm going to kind of talk about the state of the season, and if I have time at the end, I'll commentate some of the matches. These matches are between 1650 to 1850 MMR. I think we capped out at 1850, which leads me to the first point that I want to talk about. I've not queued 2v2 on my Paladin in over a month because of mana issues and kind of lackluster performance in twos. But that being said, I figured that inflation had over a month to kick in, so we would have an easier time climbing, and that was not the case. So I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but on February 14th, so almost 2 months ago, Devson made a post talking about how deflated their ratings in 2v2 and 3v3 are. Basically, a summary of the post is that they delayed inflation until week 10 of the season, but they were going to start it at 20 rating per week to help dislodge people from the top of the ladder and kind of just shake things up a little bit and help people and, you know, reach whatever individual personal goal they might have had. So that was 2 months ago, and the ladder is still extremely deflated for 2v2 and 3v3. 3v3 is at least a little better than 2v2, and I will say I found it slightly easier to climb minus all the Ret Paladins when we did Q3s the other night. But regardless, both brackets are deflated. To give a little bit more context, we ended this 2 session with my rating at 1725, and it had peaked at like 1810. This puts me at rank 179 for Holy Paladins in 2v2. Now, in contrast, my rating in Solo Shuffle is currently 2330, which puts me at rank 228. So even with a 600 rating difference, I still have a better ranking in 2v2 than I do in Solo Shuffle. The rating discrepancy also looks very similar in 3v3, albeit not quite as bad, about 500 rating difference. I also have had a tough time queuing threes because 90% of my friends list has quit playing because of this issue and balance issues. So now fast forward to today, when there's roughly 4 weeks left in the season. There was a blue post made, I think yesterday, and I'll read it to you guys. It says, "The team has continued to watch this topic throughout Season 1. An additional bump in weekly inflation was done recently, and we continue to monitor the impact of this for Season 2. Additional changes are being investigated to reduce the disparity in general ratings between Solo Shuffle and other brackets." And while I do like that they're acknowledging this and they are trying to communicate, I just really think the time to monitor has kind of like passed. I think they need to take some sort of action and try and save the season. And I know, other people on YouTube have commented on this, other people have chimed in, like Venruki has made several videos about this, so I don't want to just regurgitate those points, but I also really hope they do a few balance changes before the end of the season. It was just such a weird time to do the full rework of the Ret Paladin. It was kind of like almost mid-season, I guess. And so now it's just really thrown off the balance of the game. And it's honestly just not that fun to play unless you're one of 3 specs right now. And I just hope they do another round of balance changes. So yeah, that's kind of my take on things. But I want to hear what y'all think. Like, have y'all had similar experiences? I know a lot of you that watch my videos play Holy Paladin or you play Holy Priest. So what's your experience so far? And don't take this as a, oh, nerf Ret Paladins, blah, blah, blah. I want Ret to be viable just like every other spec. Like, I want every spec to be viable. But right now, it's just a bit overtuned. I think Fistweaver is also a bit overtuned, especially with how mana efficient they are with doing damage and their healing output. And I think Paladin has mana issues. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And on a more positive note, we are getting super close to 1,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has liked the video, subscribed, left a comment, like all that stuff. I love interacting with everybody, and it's been, I mean, kind of what's made this season really fun has been just growing the YouTube channel and just interacting with everybody. So I just want to say thank you, since, you know, we are getting super close. Hopefully we will hit it soon. If you're new here, you know, be sure to subscribe. But yeah, so let's get into commentating a little bit. So a lot of Ret Paladins, and I don't think that Enhance Holy Paladin is that good of a comp. It's okay. And we actually fared better against the Ret teams than we did the Warrior teams, which I thought was kind of interesting. And so right here, Sorgol he's getting ready to burst, so I go ahead and give him the Blessing of Summer, and we're going to try, I hodge him to make it awkward for the Druid to see if he wanted to spell him, and it looks like they just had some miscommunication there where he didn't trinket or bubble, and he did go down. And next up was this double DPS team, which you really don't see many of those in twos anymore, but both of them are hybrids, so they kind of off-heal each other. And right here, I'm going to play this similar to how I play the solo shuffles, and I'm going to pop a bunch of cooldowns. I probably should have sacked there, but I was just saving it, so that was kind of risky. Had the Enhancement Shaman used Wind Shear, it could have been really bad. So we still have bubble. I do go ahead and give Sorgol the damage buff here because the Paladin is already bubbled, so we're going to try and take him down. And he does go down right there. So honestly, I would have played that one differently if I was them. Next up is the Resto Shaman Beast Mastery Hunter. We had a rough time versus BM Hunters. They were really, really tough. Right here, I was actually complaining to Sorgol. I remember this in the Discord. I was like, oh, I forgot to I have a macro that taunts pets, and I forgot to put it on my bar because we were just talking about, I think, the previous match. And I was like, well, that's probably going to lose us, you know, the match if I eat full traps that I could have taunted the pet. But we did get lucky here. He is chunking him. I do get interrupted. We have both bops available, and I'm trying to save them for when he does his Death Chakram plus the bleed. And I actually found this out in this match. If the bop gets purged before the Death Chakram ends, the buff will actually go back on whoever you're healing, which I thought was really interesting. And it may not have been this match. It may have been another BM Hunter that we fought. But I did not know that prior to this match. So he goes for the Hex. Sorgol can dispel my Hex. And I think I'm calling for it right here for a dispel. And so I don't have to burn Trinket. We still have Sack available. And he does use Death Chakram. So this is really when I should have... I go ahead and sack him here, yeah. This is when I needed to save Bop for, was that right there. And Sorgol does take him down right before the link goes down. So kind of unfortunate for the Resto Shaman there. Next up is this Arms Warrior Evoker team. And I think this was one of the few warriors that we beat. Just really difficult in twos because they can just run you out of mana if they play it correctly. So right here, he's not, well, then he starts popping stuff right when I get slept. So I called for Sorgol to use his shield wall, and he did, or his defensive. And this kind of brings you, someone was asking, what do I mean by shield wall? Usually when I call for like wall or something like that, that's just a general term where I mean to use a defensive. I don't, like, obviously Sorgol doesn't have a shield wall. He's not a warrior, but I just meant his defensive that he has. So he used his defensive. I give him the damage buff. So we're going to kind of try and counter pressure here a little bit. And what I would realistically like to do is get Holy Light, the defensive up on him right here. So I'm going to hard cast it, and you kind of see it has that damage reduction buff that it gives him. So I'll try and keep that up as much as I can to not only be mana efficient, but just have the damage reduction. I do go in to try and Hodge here, and he's going to try and stop me from blinding, so I'm just going to, oh, and then Sorgol hexes, so he must have called for a hex there, because I was going to blind him off. And right here I'm just slowed, so I end up getting the blind. Sorgol's getting a little low, so I'm going to try and top him here. I'll go ahead and utilize a bop, and the Evoker uses Emerald Communion, so that's a major cooldown that we got from them. And you can see I'm at like 50% mana, and then the Evoker's at almost 100% mana, and he hasn't even been casting Disintegrate. He might not be running the Recycle build or whatever it's called, where they cast Disintegrate and get mana back. So we're definitely losing the mana battle, which is, I mean, expected. It's every warrior team we fought, they ended up ooming us. So right here, he does get the hex on the Evoker, so I don't have Hodge back up yet, and he go ahead and Stormbolts Sorgol. So I'm just trying to hard cast Holy Light, and I'm kind of letting Sorgol know here that, you know, we're gonna run out of mana way before they do, and I do want to drink. So I think here in a second I toss him maybe a Blessing of Freedom to try and like kite or something. I don't remember this part in the match. Nope, looks like I'm trying to get him just a little bit topped, and now I'm going for the drink. And I think the warrior's going to jump over here and stop me. Yeah, so he does go over here and stop me. And he Stormbolts Sorgol again, and we are slowly going. Now the Evoker has used a ton of mana. I go ahead and burn Sacrifice there, which the Sleepwalk is fine. And I also bubble. Probably could have held bubble, but ends up being okay. I'm trying to just conserve as much mana as possible. I didn't notice that the Evoker had his little cloak thing up that makes him immune to CC. So that was a blunder on my part. I should have just hodged the warrior, honestly. And right here, I am completely We still have Lay on Hands, which at this point is not really going to do much because we're over 50% damaging. So I utilize our bop there, and I do have wings up, so I'm going to try and get near the Evoker to blind him. I get the blind, and then we're just all in there trying to kill him. So kind of honestly a lucky kill on that one. And that is the last match. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll be back to doing the solo shuffle series in the next video. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this one, if you liked hearing the rambling and the season update and all that jazz. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.